Alright, this is the second installment of this series. First one I posted was 380, so now we're doing 9mm, and I'll be doing 45 next. Unfortunately, I'm skipping 40 because I couldn't hardly find anything in 40 right now, which brings me to my next point. All this was very expensive to acquire right now, as I'm sure you're all aware of the ammo prices. I think the only thing I had already was those gold dots, if you can't tell by the box being a little old and brittled. But everything else I acquired within the past 12 months or less. Paid premium prices for them. So go ahead and hit that like button for me if you would, because this is a very expensive production for me to do for you guys, and this is all out of pocket, including this gel, which is, especially this clear stuff's really expensive. I mean, some of these, like just that box right there is like 60-70 bucks, and I got all this stuff. But anyways, like I said, I already did 380. I'm using both gels, both the synthetic clear ballistic gel, which this one's a little milky looking. I'm not sure why. The other two I got back there are a little more clear. And then I'm using also this standard, what the FBI uses, the Knox pork gelatin, ballistic gel. It's literally made out of like pork cartilage and whatnot. So as the title states, this is most powerful 9mm rounds. Okay, now let me explain to you what I mean by that. First of all, the gold dot is just for a base. Okay, these are just your standard gold dots. Most people know what these are. They are not plus P or anything like that. So we're going to start out with these just for a baseline. Now everything else is some real high-end exotic stuff. Okay, so what I mean by hardest hitting, well, your typical 9mm load is in the 300 some foot-pounds range of energy. Okay, a lot of these are plus P, and some are even plus P plus, and I'm about to go over that in a second. So anything that hits around 400 foot-pounds of energy or more in 9mm, that's a pretty hot load. But these are literally the hardest hitters you can get as far as energy goes. Look at that, 500 foot-pounds of energy. That's about as high as energy as you can get in a 9mm right there. That's insane. That's not quite double the energy, but that's a lot. Like, that's more than most plus P 45 rounds, for example. Just wait till I get to the 45 stuff. So anyways, most powerful 9mm rounds. These, in the sense of insane amount of energy, these are lower energy, but that's still pretty high energy for a 9mm round. And I really wanted to see these because the few things I've seen on them, they perform pretty well, at least in this caliber. They didn't do so well in 380. So extreme energy here, especially these two, plus P plus. These are just plus, I'm not even sure if these are plus P, honestly, but they 413 foot-pounds of energy. That's pretty heavy hitting. But then these are more the hyper rounds. These will be most powerful because of their specific purpose and what they do. They're hyper fast rounds. Okay, so let me start here. These extreme defenders, I'm gonna pull all these out and show you up close here in a second. These extreme defenders, 90 grain obviously is pretty light for 9mm, advertised 1400 feet per second velocity, and I'll have to show you the tip on these, but they're not a hollow point, but they do the same damage as a hollow point. So they're fast and light, but because of that, they should do a lot of damage. Also, these 2,000 feet per second advertised velocity. I've seen some videos on these where they do achieve 2,000 feet per second, sometimes more, out of a pistol. So those things are cooking super light, super fast. So those have a lot of explosive power, ideally, because they're so light and fast. And then these, the RIP rounds, some of you guys might know about. I thought I'd seen it advertised on here, the energy. That might have been that one. I think this one was, yeah, 450 foot-pounds of energy, so that is a lot for a 9mm. RIPs, I don't think, but you can calculate it if you get the grain and all that, which I'm not going to waste time doing that. You guys can look it up if you want to know, but I think from my research, most of the RIP stuff just hits like a standard, as far as energy goes, like a standard 9mm self-defense load. But they got those crazy tips that pedal out like crazy, and it's just like a grenade going off when it hits. So these are the most powerful 9mm rounds. These three because they have so much energy. These three because they're so fast in what they do. But this one actually still has a pretty high amount of energy, as does this, I believe, if you do the mathematics on it. So we're going to start with the gold dots, like I said, non plus P, just your standard self-defense round. That way we can gauge all these in comparison. Also, if you want to know the differences between these gel blocks, I made a video discussing what the differences are and what the advantages and disadvantages to each one. The link for that will be in the description. I also didn't post it too long ago, so you can scroll through currently and find it fairly easy. Or just if the link works, the link will be in the description. I'll also have a link to the 380 test, and then I'll also, once we post the 45, I'll post the link in there to that as well. So we'll be using 4 layers of denim in front of them, as is the FBI protocol. If you're not aware, that's to simulate thick clothing, because yeah, in the middle of summer you shoot a bad guy in a t-shirt, you know, that's a very thin layer of clothing, but what about if he's wearing a heavy jacket or whatever? Because a lot of times those hollow points, they'll fill up with the material, and then they don't perform as they're supposed to. So that's why we put 4 layers of denim in front of it, as the FBI does, to make sure we have reliable performance regardless of what clothing they're wearing. Also, this brown one has to be temperature controlled. You don't want to really let them get any warmer than 40 some degrees. Optimal temperature is 39 degrees, so straight out of the fridge is about what you want. They're packed in ice right now to keep them nice and cold, so these will be accurate results out of these blocks. And also, if I didn't mention already, these are both 10% blocks, 10% clear ballistics and 10% Nox. See, I got them in the chest up here with ice on them. I'm not trying to carry that down there by myself. It's about 100 pounds in there. All right, so I'm going to get to it. I'm just going to stand back here about 10 feet and fire into these. On these buckets, I'm going to switch back and forth because I'm going to put one round on one side of each block, and then the next round will be on the next side. So we'll switch the camera back and forth. I got enough daylight today to do that. We'll get some slow-mo, although my slow-mo is not that great, but it's better than nothing. But anyways, I got some different size blocks up there, and those ones up there are more clear too. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what happened to this one, but you know, it shouldn't really affect anything. So let's get to it. Also, guys, before we get started here, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be doing the same with the 380 and the 45 as well. But each one of these rounds, I'm going to examine at a later point coming up soon, where we'll shoot just one specific round, because this is just a giant collaboration today to kind of see what they do side by side, same day, same scenario and all that. But I'm going to be testing each one of the rounds individually at a later point, where we'll come out here and we'll do a very extensive test. As I mentioned, a lot of times the denim doesn't allow them to expand properly, but if you skip the denim, then they work beautifully, especially in 380. So at a later date, we'll be examining each one of these. We'll put several shots into each block, with and without denim, and I'm even thinking about doing ribs, and maybe we'll do bare gel and then a t-shirt and then 4 layers and stuff like that. So anyways, coming up, we'll test each one of these in more explicit detail than what we are here today. All right, almost forgot to show you guys this. So there's the standard gold dots 124 grain that we're gonna make a baseline off of. There's your MHP. This is the 115 grain plus P plus buffalo bore. This is the 95 grain plus P plus buffalo bore. There's your RIPs. There's the Liberty Civil Defense, I believe it's called. And there is your Underwood Extreme Defenders. Alright, so first up for the baseline is the Spear Gold Dots. Well, I hit that a little high, but it looks like it'll be all right because nothing exited. Tore up a little bit here, but There's the entry. Didn't expand that much. That's been my carry load forever, because usually they perform pretty well, but that one definitely clogged up a little bit. But let me take one more. I'll straighten this out. Let me take another one a little lower, just to be on the safe side. All right. The wound channel on that's a little more telling. Definitely did more there. And but it doesn't look like the bullet really opened up anymore. So we might have had slightly skewed results from hitting that so high. So I'm glad I took another shot, because that's a much larger wound cavity, it looks like. Let me set it up here in the sun real quick. So even though both bullets, even though both of them seem to have the same lackluster expansion, you can see the results there are vastly different. So I definitely think that's because I hit that so high. So that's what it should look like, which honestly, that's pretty good considering they didn't fully expand. And your penetration there for both coming in right around 20 inches. Now that penetration is pretty deep, and that's because these didn't fully expand, and of course we'll take them out at the end and examine them. But if they had fully expanded, this wound cavity would be even more massive. So I'm thinking those in the plus P rounds, which I actually have some at home, but I just brought these standard pressured loads for a baseline, because that's what a lot of people would carry. With plus P, those would probably perform pretty damn well, because they would have expanded more due to the higher velocity, which would give you an even bigger permanent cavity and less penetration. But you know, maybe 14 to 16. Well, let's try this clear block now. Like I said, there's differences between these. The link to the video explaining the differences is in the description, but you're about to see the vast differences between these two. Alright, so now we'll do the standard gold dot in the clear gelatin. Well, should be clear. Mine's looking a little milky. I think I need to bake them longer. Alright, that was actually somewhat remarkably similar. There's your entry. See some spiraling going on. And there's the bullet. At about 18. I don't know if we can, if you can see it a little better there. So again, if you want to know the difference between this and why they look different, check out the link where I explain the differences.
And I mean why the wound cavity looks different.
By the way, with these two blocks set up the way they were, you got that almost inch gap in there, so that's probably why we got 18 instead of 17. So it seemed to have penetrated about the same. And again, of course, we'll pull them out and examine at the end. All right, next up, the MHP on the left side of the block. Well, that looks pretty nice so far. Let's see what happened here. I'm not seeing it in the block. Where'd it go? Okay. So there's your permanent entry. Now, where did that thing go? It may have, yep, oh shit. I think it exited the side of the block there. That's exactly what happened. Came in here and it curved out the side there. You can see it just barely nicked that, and we lost it. So let me take one more shot so we can get a capture.
Sorry guys, I don't know what the heck's going on with my focus here.
Are you kidding me? These things are just not behaving. So that one went a little high and it skipped out the top. All right, one more. We'll just put her right in the middle there. All right, we got it that time. And of course my shot was right next to this shot. Do I just need to come point blank? There it is, and it didn't open. Huh. I'm gonna put the muzzle right here. That way there's no excuses for this not to perform. Oh my God. All right, you know what? I'm done. Look at that dead center. And then it veered out the side. Well, we caught one. So it would seem like that those, I mean, you can see there, it's not, the nose isn't straight. So it's yawing and tumbling and whatnot. So it's causing it to move around and veer off track. So let's try one in the clear and then we'll move on to the next round. Real quick before we do that though, there's your depth on the MHP that we did capture, right about 19 inches. All right, MHP with the clear ballistics gel. Hey, we caught that one. Entry, not much to see, definitely less than the previous round, and you can see it flipped around backwards there and did not expand at all, and it's coming in at 16 inches. All right, next up is the Buffalo Boar, and this is the 115 grain plus P plus 1400 feet per second advertised energy velocity, 500 foot-pounds of energy. And then next up we'll do the lighter one that's going faster. But this is the 115 grain plus P plus by Buffalo Boar. I'm not doing good today. That one went out the top. Let me try another one. Alright, I think those have some freaking power. Capture, looks like it's facing you wonderfully with that big old mushroom. Knock this block clear the hell off. Entry. Big ass permanent wound cavity. Bullet stopped right there. Fully mushroomed through the denim. Let me get you a measurement real quick. 16 inches. I wish I hadn't grazed the first one there. That's the bottom, but it seems like, so the cuts are parallel. Oh. And then there's the side by side, which obviously those two tracks conjoined a little bit there because I went high on that first one. All right, 115 grain plus P plus buffalo boar in the clear ballistics gel. And don't forget, we got that 1-inch gap there in between them. All right. Well, this is all dirty now. But we got a complete pass through. And like I said, that's the difference between these two gels. There is a big difference, believe it or not. And it's hard to see, but right there's the entry. You can see a little zip line through there. And oh, it did stop. It's right there. It just almost made it through. All right. Because what I've noticed with this clear stuff, even though it's 10%, just like the Knox over there, it's harder for hollow points to expand in this stuff. Okay, so you can see that copper there, probably. Right there's 20. It's coming in right about 21 inches there. So I'll fire one more, but it's probably not going to expand, just to show you guys that you get an expansion out of this. You can tell by this wound channel right here that this one expanded as well. I just lost it out the top. And so we'll fire one more in here, but it should not expand because that's the difference between these two gels, even though they're both 10%. So let me fire another one real quick just to show you, and then we'll switch to the next one. All right, one more of the Buffalo Boar 115 grains, just to give it a chance, but it's probably not going to expand in this clear because that's been my experience with this.
All right, just to clarify, guys, these actually did expand in the clear. They just didn't expand very much, and you will see when we extract.
Went at least as far, and I think I see it clear at the back again. So, I think that one. Oh, it's one of these holes. You can see, so it should be this hole right here. There's the fresh line under this MHP, and then I can see copper right there, which the other one's right here, which was 21. This one's right here at about 22. You can actually see it right there. Well, if it would focus, but yeah, it went just a little bit further. Again, we'll pluck these out in the end and check them out, but they probably did not expand. All right, so now we will do the Buffalo Boar plus P plus 95 grain, which are at a higher advertised velocity, as we covered in the beginning of this video. There's your entry. Big old cavity there. And there is the round. And I believe those are solid copper. Not sure about the heavier ones, but I think those are. Right in there. Now this is an 11-inch block. So that's about 12 inches of penetration right there. 13. Buffalo plus P plus 95 grain in the clear gel. Wow. I'm impressed. It expanded in the clear stuff. A little close to this other hole here, but I'm gonna flip these around because this stuff's so cloudy. It hasn't really been an issue yet because nothing's performed yet in the clear gel, but this one certainly did. So let me flip these around. I'll take another shot. By the way, before I get ahead of myself here again, it's right about 13 inches again, but you're gonna get this gap here, so it's closer to 12 in reality. All right, one more of the 95 grain buffalo bore plus P plus through the clear ballistics gelatin. Might have got lucky on that first one. There's your wound channel, very small. Again, everything's different through this clear. Exit, entry. I can see it, I think. Yeah. There it is. And it did expand. So that looks to be about an inch further than the previous. Kind of hard to do all this by myself. 13 inches. Remember, there's a little gap. Although the gap wasn't as bad with this reverse layout here. And it expanded, I can tell by looking at it. So the wound cavity don't look like much, but you can see what they did over here. So you're seeing the vast differences between, even though this expanded, this wound cavity looks much, much smaller than it does in this. And this is what the FBI uses. So again, check out the video, link in the description to explain the differences between these two. Honestly, I really only want to use this because it's accurate. But I already invested in a bunch of this, so I'm going to keep using it until it's used up, and also at least to finish out this series and probably future videos as well. But I like to disclose that there's a difference here, and most channels only show you one gel or the other. And as you can see, depending on what you're using, you're going to get vastly different results. And my opinion and the FBI's, this is accurate, that's not. Regardless, I'm impressed that it expanded, so the higher velocity certainly helped with that. As you've seen so far, nothing's expanded in the clear until now. So that is an impressive round, just based off of that fact alone. So now we'll move on to the next ones. The Underwood is next. All right, I only got 4 of each of these blocks on me, so I've turned this one around. This was the catch block. So we turn this around. I'll try not to hit any of these. And this was the entry block for those buffalo bore we just did, so I spun this around as well. After this, we'll switch to new blocks for the remainder of the tests. All right, Underwood Extreme Defender, 90 grain, 1400 feet per second. Again, that's that one that had that little screwdriver head. They do make an Extreme Penetrator and an Extreme Defender, which this is the Defender, and these are different. They have bigger flutes, and so they have fluid disruption that acts like a hollow point. I really love these rounds. They're pretty much barrier blind. We're going to be featuring them later in a much more drawn out test with the rest, but I'm real excited to see what these do because they should perform in both pretty well, although the clear doesn't show permanent wound cavity very well. Anyways, here goes the Underwoods. All right, there's your cavity from the Underwood. Flip that up in a second. There's from the side, and that's all Underwood because these are just little skinny trails here from where the others were coming in. Remember, I spun this. Look at that massive cavity. I told you I like these things. Look at that massive cavity. Zip through. Right there it is. Now, it's not supposed to deform or anything. You know, it's not a hollow point, so it doesn't expand. That pushed that back a little bit. It was together when they, damn it, when they hop from being hit. Gotta get a measure here. It's a real pain in the ass by myself. And 20 and a half, 21 inches. That's pretty deep. And right there, that's what they do. Now it's not gonna look that awesome in the clear, but so there's from the top. Yeah, I like those. All right, Underwood 90 grain Extreme Defender in the clear ballistics gelatin. Table's falling off here. All right. Nice. Biggest cavity in the clear so far. I just smeared that. There's from the top. So entry. There's your big old cavity. And yep, that's it on the very bottom there. We get a measure real quick. You see a little gap there, but not much. Right about 18 and a quarter. There I got fresh blocks for the last two. This back one here, I'm just using as a stop block. But this one's fresh, cold, straight out of the freezer, fresh denim. There's a fresh unused block from Clear Ballistics. I baked these for 4 hours at 270, like I said. I think some of them I even did 5 hours. And it says bake it until all the bubbles are gone. Well, you can see the bubbles there, which that's why they're cloudy. And even where you can't see bubbles, but you see cloud, like this other one here. See all that cloud? That's all bubbles and stuff, minute bubbles. So I guess it's because the massive amount I'm trying to boil down at once, or bake down at once, I should say. So definitely on the next one, I'll try to have more clear blocks. So I'll cook them for even longer, hopefully get all the air out. But there you go, we got a nice fresh block there, unused. So we got the civil defense and the RIP rounds left, and then we're done. And I think what I'm gonna do, these don't penetrate far. I think I'm gonna put one of each through this fresh clear block. When I'm done, I'll spin it around, and we'll just, that way we can see them real good. I'll put one of each through there when we're done with these two here real quick. All right, Liberty Civil Defense. Woo! That one had some pop in my face. Holy, ho, ho, ho. Wowzer. Wait till you see this from the top. There's the side, massive. Then again, I mean, 2,000 feet a second and a massive hollow point it should be. Check this out. Boom, zip. And these are 11-inch long blocks. So right about 11-inch, maybe just shy. I know, you guys are still wanting me to show you. Alright, say 11 inches right there. Cool. Man, that took up so much space, it's going to be hard to see what the RIP round does. I might, I think I'll flip it for that one. Try to get a little more space. Alright, let's hit the clear block with those, and then we'll do the RIPs. Alright, Liberty Civil Defense and the Clear Ballistics gelatin block. And you probably seen the smoke come out there, at least I did. That's also part of, there, I'll show you here. You can even see it burnt. High velocity rounds do that, and I explained that in my video telling you about the differences. So as you can see too, vastly different effect. Like I said, I like this. This is what the FBI says is accurate. This is what I use, and you can see a huge difference between it. Not to mention all the other different attributes about this, like the excuse me, the explosion and fire that comes out of them because they're petroleum based. So you can see though, in the clear ballistics, it's one of the few that actually expanded. And 10.5 inches. Sometimes it looks different depending on if I get the angle on this camera right, but 10.5. All right, RIP, and then we'll have some fun with this block when we're done. All right, last one here, guys, the RIP rounds. I'll tell you one thing, those Liberty rounds, a lot more recoil and a pretty big percussion in front of your face. Those RIPs seemed a lot more tame by comparison. So I don't think the RIPs are a plus P load, but the Liberties definitely are. So there's that one. You can see the fragments and such. And the base carried the same distance, about 11 inches there. Here's from up top. Similar sized wound cavity, but you can see the petals in the RIP travel a little further, and the base traveled about the same. Front tells a little different story. If I can get this to focus, I'm trying, guys. That cavity on the Liberty is bigger. All right, RIP and the clear ballistics gelatin. Oh, cool. There's one of the petals sitting on the denim outside the block. That's a nice shot, huh? There you can see what those do. And oh, it traveled further in the clear. And there's that might be, it's not hot. There's one of the petals, looks like it hit right there and then bounced back. Hopefully the slow motion will show that. So it's kind of interesting that there must be a difference in the way one round tumbled compared to the other, but they both traveled 11 inches in this, but the RIP went further in this one for some reason. And there's your over top. Now you can see in this, I mean, that's because the RIP expands more. It does. Typically the petals on these expand out further and penetrate further as well than the Liberty. But well, they're pretty close, but the Liberty seems like it did a little more damage there, which it should because it's going so much faster. 2,000 feet a second. That's going to be a real hard impact. There's the difference there. Difference there. Liberty, RIP. That's that extra velocity right there. There's a loose petal. And then in the clear, yeah, for some reason it traveled further. Might have been the way it flipped or tumbled or something. Alright guys, well like I said, I want to put one of each of this nice clear block for you. I apologize that those were kind of cloudy. It was my first time melting it down, so I'm gonna make smaller quantities or bake it for twice as long to try to get them crystal clear like this, like they should be. So before I tear these blocks up, let's hit them with all those rounds and then we'll go examine what happened to all these rounds that we fired thus far, because I'm not going to compare these ones. I'm just going to have some fun here. Alright guys, I'm going to skip the Liberty Civil Defense and the RIP because we already know what those do. We can see those in the clear block right now. So I'm going to go in the same order that I did when we began. It's going to be the Gold Dot 124 grain standard pressure load, then the MHP, then Buffalo Bore 115 grain, Buffalo Bore 95 grain, and then finally the Underwood 90 grain Extreme Defender. So let's pop those in there, and I'm going to leave the denim off for that because like I said, the denim can affect some rounds whether they expand or not. And also, as I've said, if you haven't skipped the part throughout this, that a lot of them don't expand in these clear stuff, but they do in the brown. So let's try the clear without the denim for this, and maybe some of them still won't expand, and you'll see that that's because this clear gel is vastly different. But anyways, let me pop these in here real quick. I'll check them out. All right. First shot, second shot, third shot, fourth shot, fifth shot. Don't know if we caught them all. There's an MHP backwards again. Did they all literally stop in here? Maybe one went through? Alright, I think I found them all. I'm going to dig them out here in order and show you. But I got to pause in between each one. Alright, so that's the gold dot. And even though it's harder to expand in this clear, you can see it did its job as long as the denim wasn't in the way. So we got mediocre expansion through the brown. I believe about the same expansion through here, but take the denim out of the equation. Look at that. Beautiful. We'll look at that more. But so that was a gold dot. There's another one down in here I got to get. All right, then as I said, as we walked up here, there's the MHP. About to poke out the back, and I might be able to put that out real quick. Yeah, there's your MHP. So that was the second round fired. Then this is the buffalo bore. I just plucked it out right under the gold dot. So the gold dot was right in here, and so was this, which this is a 16-inch block, so that's about 12 inches, I believe. Seems about right, something like that. So that's the 115 grain Barnes, or not Barnes, buffalo bore. And then got some in there. Hang on one sec. All right, so then in here was the 90 grain buffalo bore, which is solid copper. And then this split right here did not exit the Underwood Extreme Defender. So I caught all of the ones I just shot. And like I said, there's no need to do with RIP and the civil defense because we just did that. So you see the difference, at least with these, when you remove the denim. So this is why they put the denim. So if your attacker is shirtless, there you go. If he's not, you know, I might experiment that later. I don't think a thin t-shirt is going to make too much of a difference. It might, but you know, what if he's wearing a jacket or a leather jacket or a denim jacket, or you know, whatever, or you know, the thicker clothing. That's what this is meant to represent, because this stuff clogs up a hollow point like a MFer. So you can see, especially with the gold dot, the vast difference. What was it, 3 rounds fired total, and not a single one, even in the gel, that expands them better, expanded fully like that. And you put it in the harder block and take the denim out of the equation, and then you get textbook expansion. So that's what you get through this block. Like I said, it was just for fun if you take the denim out of the equation. So these things suck, man. I've seen these expand beautifully in a couple tests that I watched, but they are not performing for me. So I don't know if it's because my barrel's too short and I'm not getting enough velocity or what, but you know, typically your carry gun is not going to be a big old 5-inch barreled 9mm, and that's about mid-size anyway. That's a Taurus G2. All right, now let me get all these up here on the table. We'll pull them out and we'll examine them side by side, the brown gel and the clear gel. Well, it's going to take me a minute, so I'll be right back. Alright, here's all the ones that were shot through the denim for actual testing purposes. So let's check them out. So here's out of the brown. And again, this is in order as we shot from left to right. Gold Dot, MHP, Buffalo Bore, 115, Buffalo Bore, 95, Underwood, Liberty Civil Defense, RIP. Same for over here, okay? Now, again, I remind you guys, please go ahead and hit that like button. This is very expensive to throw together for you guys, so if you could at least hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it, because this was not cheap to do for you guys. So don't forget, hit that like button for me. I really appreciate it. So here's the 2 gold dots we fired into the brown. You can see denim in one there, that one not so much, and it looks like it expanded a little more. MHP, no expansion. 115 grain Buffalo Bore, plus P plus. There's the 95 grain all copper. There's your Underwood Extreme Defender. Like I said, those don't really deform or anything, so that's also part of the reason they're barrier blind, which, like I said, we'll be testing all these again later, doing more extensive testing with and without denim, maybe with ribs, maybe with a t-shirt and all that, so stay tuned for that. But these do not deform, they're not supposed to. There's your Liberty Civil Defense. There's all the pieces that, well, not all, but there's some of the pieces that broke off of it. And then there's your RIP round with some of the petals that broke off of it. So this was through the brown with the denim. And then here's the clear gel. So there's your gold dot out of the clear gel, the MHP, 115 grain Buffalo Bores, 95 grain Buffalo Bores, Extreme Defender, Civil Defense, and RIP. And this stuff is a real nightmare to cut through. It's like rubber and your knife sticks to it, and I can't even shove my finger through it like I can with these. So you can see what the petals look like. So obviously they broke up in the clear. I don't need to spend the next half hour trying to pick some of those petals out because it'd be a nightmare. But that's what you get. So gold dots, clearly better expansion through the brown. Well, a little bit. MHPs, those things just didn't seem to work at all. Your 115 grain definitely expanded better through the brown than it did the clear, but it still expanded in the clear, so that's impressive. These things are just a beast. A little light on the penetration, but they perform no matter what. You can even see there's denim stuffed in both of those, and they still expanded through the harder stuff. And of course the that one doesn't matter. The why do I keep getting a brain fart on this one? The Extreme Defenders, the Underwood, obviously those are going to look the same because they don't expand, they don't need to by design. And then of course these worked in both the clear, so I had much better results with this than I did with the 380. Again, if you want to see the 380 test, link is in the description, as well as the link for explaining the differences in these gel blocks. Also, once we do the 45, I'll put that in the description as well. That one's next, but it's probably going to be about a week. I'll tell you one conclusion you can draw from this stuff though. Whatever you shoot through that, through 4 layers of denim, if it expands, it's going to expand in anybody, anytime. So there's our results. I'm fairly happy with that. I actually carry these because I know what they do, and they didn't let me down today, so I'm still a real big fan of these. Gold dots didn't perform quite as well as what I'm used to seeing them do, but like I said, if you run the plus P rounds, I'm pretty sure they would expand all the way, like some of these other rounds did. And also, it's not a fair comparison because these were plus P rounds, you know. I just wanted to use those as a baseline to see. Oh God. God, excuse me, dry throat. I've been out here for hours with no drink. But anyways, it's not a fair comparison, but that was the whole point, was to give us a baseline of some generic carry loads. And yeah, well, I'm going to quit rambling. There's your results. One more close look. Again, please hit the like button because this was very expensive for me to make for you guys, so I would really appreciate that. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, 380 is already up. Links in the description. Explanation on the difference between these blocks if you're curious, especially after seeing the vastly different results. Link is also in the description. Next up's 45. Like I said, I'm going to test each one of these rounds more in depth individually at an upcoming date. So if you want to see that, stay tuned for that. Make sure you click the bell, subscribe, hit all if you want to be notified when I post. But yeah, guys, that's it. I appreciate you watching. Again, please hit that like button. Very expensive production here for me to make, so if you would, please at least hit the like button. And catch you guys on the next one.